Hello everyone, welcome to Alexei Films. Today I'm going to be talking about my theories on who is in the Iron Mask from The Flash. There have been many theories on who the man inside the Iron Mask is, and I have gathered a lot of information from many of the episodes to help me explain my theory better. To start off explaining my theory on who the man in the Iron Mask is, I will first tell you guys my version of the story of who the man in the Iron Mask is, and how he ended up captured by Zoom, and then I will tell you guys a few characters that could be in the Iron Mask. So my version of the story of the man in the Iron Mask begins in Earth 2, where I believe Zoom was once a normal human that went through a tough childhood, and as he grew up, he created a velocity serum that would help him run faster, way before he was affected by the particle accelerator. Zoom used his velocity serum to travel back in time and get the real Jay Garrick from either Earth 1 or 2. Due to my theory, however, Zoom went to Earth 1 and caught the real Jay Garrick from the past and brought him to Earth 2. Later, I will explain who this Earth 1 Jay Garrick is, but for now, let's just leave it. So once Zoom caught Jay in the past from Earth 1, he locked him up in a cell cage, and of course, Jay is confused because he doesn't know where he is and he wants to return back to his own Earth. Zoom started to cause many problems on his Earth, so he eventually was captured after killing many police officers, and he was sentenced to death by the electric chair. Now, if you guys remember, Wells said to Cisco in episode 10 of season 2 that this event had taken place 2 years ago, so by this I believe that Zoom had been already taking the velocity powers. However, the powers Zoom experienced were only temporal, which is how the police was able to capture him. The night the particle accelerator exploded in Earth 2, Zoom was given more power than he originally had, and that made him sick. While the real Jay Garrick, which is the man in the Iron Mask, got healthy speed powers and was going to escape. Jay was trying to escape Earth 2, but since he was still new to knowing how to use his powers, he couldn't time travel or run fast enough to create a breach to Earth 1. So eventually Zoom tried to capture Jay Garrick to try to heal his condition using his healthy speed, but Jay was running so fast until one day Zoom caught him and then he locked him up in a metahuman cage and put an iron mask on him so that he wouldn't phase out of the cage. Ever since then, Zoom was using Jay Garrick's identity to make people believe that he was Jay, and even though I think he could have stolen some speed, Zoom still let Jay keep his powers because he just wanted to make Jay suffer, and he already knew Wells could help him get his healthy speed if he took his daughter and forced Wells to help him. Sometime later, when the singularity was open, Zoom saw Barry trying to close it, and he had a plan to get his time remnant to go to Earth 1 and change his past so that in the future, Zoom could be cured, but since his plan never worked, he killed his time remnant and hoped to steal all of Barry's speed in the future. So with all that said, that is my story on the theory of the man in the Iron Mask. Now that I have explained the story of the man in the Iron Mask, I will talk about some of the possibilities about the characters that could be in the Iron Mask as Jay Garrick or as a different person. The most obvious and common answer that comes from many people is that the man in the Iron Mask is Jay Garrick, but could this character be played by someone other than the original Jay Garrick we have seen so far in the series? These characters I'm about to explain are some characters that I have given a lot of thought and think could be in the Iron Mask. To start off with my first theory, in episode 20 of The Flash, Henry told Barry that his mom's maiden name was Garrick, which made me believe that there is a chance that Barry and Jay are related. This also really sparked some theories on how Henry Allen from Earth 2 could be under the Iron Mask, but I'm really sure that since we've all heard that theory, I will tell you a different possibility of who could be under the Iron Mask that shares the same idea, and then I will discuss why Henry is and isn't under the Iron Mask. So guys, I was watching episode 20 of The Flash with my friend Nick Harmon. It gave me a good theory of who the man in the Iron Mask could be, and he told me to explain it to you guys and give him some credit, so that's what I'm doing. If you guys don't know him, I encourage you to watch his channel. Just search Nico Harmon in YouTube. He is working on skateboarding tricks and a lot of fun stuff. and I will be joining him in some of his videos, so please go and see his videos. He's great and I would really appreciate it. Anyways, he said that Henry's mom's brother's son's son is the man in the Iron Mask, and I think his theory is right in the spot of who the man in the Iron Mask is. Because if Henry had a mom with the maiden name Garrick, then clearly someone in her side of the family has to have someone with the name J. Garrick. Now I'm not sure that it follows this same rule, but we at least know that it's someone in Barry's grandma's side of the family that could be under the Iron Mask. This theory also connects with my theory on the story of the man in the Iron Mask, where I said that Zoom took Jay from Earth 1 and brought him to Earth 2. This maybe is the reason why Henry knew his mom's maiden name, but maybe he doesn't remember any Jay Garrick since Zoom took him off the timeline. So basically, Henry's mom or Barry's grandmother could have had a Jay Garrick on her side of the family, but there is just not enough information to know who had Jay. So now guys that you have heard this theory, if you are like me and do not like the easy answer that Henry could be in the Iron Mask, because we have honestly seen a lot of proof and evidence that this could be true, then I honestly can say that this is as good of a theory as it gets to who the man in the Iron Mask is, and this is simply a distant family member from Barry's grandma's side of the family. So with that said, let's move on and talk about Henry Allen being the man in the Iron Mask and why I agree to this theory and why I agree to disagree to this theory. Through episodes 21 and 22, it was almost really predictable that Henry was going to die, and this really opened up theories that Henry could be the man in the Iron Mask. Some proof that really has me convinced that Henry could be Jay was in episode 13 when we saw that there was a 1990s version of The Flash. Henry revealed his mother's maiden name, and Greg claimed that Jay would never be a baddie and that there is no reinvention of Jay, so clearly someone else could be under the Iron Mask. All we know is that the reveal is satisfying and a beautiful reveal, so there is definitely a lot of proof that Henry is under the mask, which seems very interesting but also not interesting at the same time. So all of this evidence clearly shows that the man in the Iron Mask is Henry, but even with all that, I still find some parts missing. In Earth 2, for example, we saw a phone in episode 13 where Barry was calling his mom, and his mom told him that she was possibly with Henry on a cruise, and we also saw that there are two dads on the phone, which led me to believe, what if Barry has two dads? The reason I don't really think that Henry could be under the Iron Mask is because clearly his name had to be Henry Allen and get married to Nora to have Barry Allen. So it doesn't add up that Henry would be called Jay Garrick in Earth 2, unfortunately, because then Barry would be called Barry Garrick, and that's not his name in Earth 2. So Henry Allen could be the man under the Iron Mask, but I guess I just want the reveal to be more of a surprise that no one would expect. Okay guys, now the character I will share might sound a bit weird and strange to most of you, but I promise that once I explain this it will make more sense, so please just bear with me. This character is Barry Allen from the future. So far in The Flash we have noticed that Zoom has captured some characters for a specific purpose. As I was thinking deeper on why Zoom would want to keep the man in the Iron Mask locked up, it occurred to me that Zoom locked up this man because he knows that he is more powerful and he could possibly beat him. If you think about it, Zoom has locked up every character that has enough power to beat him, such as Killer Frost, Barry, and he even took Jesse Quick and Wally West, which could eventually gain their super speed powers and become speedsters. All this made me speculate and think, could Zoom also be from the future? Was Zoom trying to prevent Wally, Jesse, and Barry from getting their power? Because Zoom never knew Barry, Wally, or Jesse, but I believe he knew what they would do in the future, so he did anything in his power to stop them. This is what then brings up my theory that Zoom could have caught Barry in the future and brought him to Earth 2. Zoom knew that he couldn't stop Barry in the present, so he went to the future and caught his future self and locked him up to possibly show Barry that he would lose to him in the future and make Barry work hard to deliver himself out of Zoom's control. If you guys still aren't convinced that this is Barry, then let me just say a little background that will puzzle this better. Back to the beginning of season 2 of The Flash, before Eobard Thawne died, he told Barry, "You will never truly be happy, trust me." And this makes sense to all of us since later Jay was actually Zoom. But there may have been something we all missed when he said this. If Zoom and Eobard Thawne always have a double purpose, then I think Eobard Thawne knew Zoom from Earth 2 and Zoom took Barry from the future and brought him to Earth 2 captured. Gilberton was just trying to get revenge on Barry and prove to him that if he stopped him from achieving his future plans, then he would still win in the future because Zoom would help capture him and Barry would lose and never truly feel happy for stopping him or Zoom. And in the future, the Reverse Flash would fight again with Barry. Think of it as a time recovery. If Yabarthon dies, no speedster would ever stop Barry for a long time, and that's where Zoom comes in. The Reverse Flash gets Zoom to achieve his plan while he is still trying to know about Barry and everyone from the team in the past. And then in the future, the Reverse Flash and Barry will meet again through some point in time. If you ask them, what's in it for Zoom if he helps Ilbarthon? Or why would Zoom be so determined to capture Barry in the future? Well, that's because if Barry is the man in the Iron Mask from the future, then it makes sense that he probably knows where to find the real Jay Garrick, and Zoom wants to prevent Barry from finding Jay. What I assume has happened is that from the point in The Flash where we knew Zoom was using himself to play as Jay Garrick, it was kind of almost a given that the man in the Iron Mask was just the real Jay Garrick. But the only problem is that the man in the Iron Mask may not even be Jay Garrick. It could simply be Barry Allen that knows where to find him. And if you guys think about it, all the clues the man in the Iron Mask has shown express that he knows Jay. I don't think the man in the Iron Mask was ever tapping his name on the glass to tell Barry he was Jay. I think he said this because he was concerned for Jay. The man in the Iron Mask even looked worried when he saw Zoom carrying his time remnant disguised as Jay, and it just makes sense that he would be sad and frustrated not to know where Jay is. So could Barry be the man in the Iron Mask? That's at least my theory on why Barry Allen from the future could be under the Iron Mask. Also, all the physical attributes of the man in the Iron Mask can also support my theory that Barry is the man in the Iron Mask. He has the same hair and eye color, so it all just adds up. The last character that I think could be in the Iron Mask is Eddie Thawne from Earth 2, and here is why. In episode 10 of The Flash, when Wells told Cisco about the story of how Zoom got his name, he said that Zoom had killed every police officer but left one alive to tell the story, and then he eventually killed him. This one police officer to me just sounds like it could have been Eddie, and maybe Zoom only faked his death by getting his time remnant, or even to make this theory more interesting, Zoom could have got Eddie from Earth 1 that was already dead and used him so everyone in Earth 2 would assume Zoom had killed Eddie. The blonde hair of the man in the Iron Mask also really matches Eddie's appearance, so it's possible that Earth 2 Eddie could have become a metahuman, possibly Jay Garrick, and he is the man in the Iron Mask. But with all my theories said, I think the two best ones is that Jay Garrick is a distant family member from Barry's grandma's side of the family, so this character we may not be introduced to until like season 3 of The Flash. And the other theory is that Barry from the future could be the man in the Iron Mask. With all these theories stated, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and I will have more videos coming out for you guys to watch, so please stay tuned.